All right, in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Law, I wish to state that on February 19, 2016, the notice of this meeting of the Upper Township Committee as a workshop was posted on the official township bulletin board found in the Cape County Gazette, the Lang City Press, the Ocean City Sentinel, Ledger, the Herald Times, and followed the Township Clerk. Tonight's meeting is being video recorded up until the closed session portion of this meeting and will be available on UTTV Channel 97 and on the Upper Township website. I hereby direct this announcement to be made a part of the minutes of this meeting. And I would ask you to call the roll, Barbara. We'll forego the salute to the flag until we start our regularly scheduled meeting at 7:30.
Very good. Mr. Barr?
Here.
Mr. Coggins?
Here.
Mr. Pearson?
Here.
Mr. Young?
Here.
Mayor Plumbo?
Here.
And members are present.
Okay, so at this time I'll turn it over to you, John. Pick it up to where we left off at our last workshop meeting a couple of weeks ago.
All right, I think the thing we need to hammer out tonight is our capital requests. One of the things that I did, I distributed to everybody for the sake of brevity. I put a little bit of a cheat sheet together for us. What I'd like to do is go in reverse order, simply because it'll make the meeting flow a little bit smoother. I think we should start with emergency management. And Scott, I see you're here. You've got capital requests in the amount of $25,000. And if you'd be so kind, could you give us a little bit of a synopsis of what your requests are for, how it will be used, and how it benefits the township?
Good evening. Yes, over the past year, during the 2015 fiscal period, Upper Township Emergency Management, and in conjunction with our local MIS team and rescue squad, we look to improve technology and radio enhancements within our communication system, and we've achieved a lot of that. One of the areas of, I'll call it efficiency, is something that's in the contract for our PSAP between Upper Township and Ocean City. There's a requirement that in addition to them providing us with communications, radio communications, and telecommunications dispatch policies and procedures for all of our emergency resources here in Upper Township, we in turn provide them with a backup system and a backup center here in Upper Township. The one deficiency is an active CAD system, computer-aided dispatch system. We've had work with Workman over the past year to come up with some ideas to develop a CAD system without expending a great deal of money. And as you know, moving forward within Cape May County is presently working on a regional communication system with all 16 municipalities looking to hopefully join the centralized system, the regionalized system. And with that said, recently the county has hired a company by the name of InfoShare to provide said service. And what we are looking for, what I am looking for as far as Upper Township is concerned, is a software system that can both be provided as a backup system to Ocean City's communication system in the event of a natural or man-made disaster, which would require them to have to vacate that area. We have already policies and plans in place to provide that system here, or that service here, but we, like I said, needed a CAD system that would achieve that. The cost amount that you see in front of you is a combination of 2 licenses or server licenses to connect us into the regional communication system, and it also provides for licenses for all 4 of the fire districts and the rescue squad. So basically, it's a complete system, and with the understanding that somewhere possibly down the road, I believe the mayor has commented on this in the past, of potentially, after we look into it, potentially joining the regionalizations of communications within Cape May County. So that, kind of in a nutshell, is, like I said, serving 2 purposes. It's a backup system for Ocean City, and obviously for us, but it's also looking toward the future. It's starting to entertain that possibility of moving toward regionalization.
Okay. I gotta tell you, I'm a little bit confused. I was of the
No,
understanding.
there is a little discrepancy in the spreadsheet that we just handed out that you and I were working on.
Okay.
It says a trailer, a pod runner, and communications. Scott is speaking just of the CAD program. If you look,
That's in his regular budget.
that was part of his regular budget request as a capital. But then there's also a separate spreadsheet for emergency management, and that explains a little more about the CAD system and the info share that Scott is talking about.
All right, so
There's a separate,
So you're looking for $30,000 for the CAD system in addition to the trailer, pod runner,
Yes, correct.
and the communications of $9,000?
Correct.
Now, this is hardware, you're looking for software, right?
That's software, correct.
That's software.
Yeah, that's software.
Now, if I am reading your capital projects plan correctly, I see an X here. It looks like it's in the 2017 column. Is that correct, or is it just the way it's formatted on the sheet?
That's correct. It's in the 2017, it's a projection. Needed in the 2016 year, but it projects out over 2017 as well.
Okay.
And that again has to do with the regionalization concept.
So you're looking at a 2016 expenditure.
Exactly.
All right, so you're looking for a total capital request of $55,000.
Correct.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about the other items.
As far as the pod runner is concerned, that goes with our shelter management projects that we were working on over the course of 2015. We, of course, work with Ocean City again through our CERT program, Community Emergency Response Team. They provide basically similar to what American Red Cross provides, they provide the same sort of sheltering aspects. This particular pod runner system is a mobile unit that allows us to put not only communications but also everything that you need to run a shelter within that system. It's so diverse that not only can we use it for that purpose, but also we were looking at something similar to utilize with our current inflatable triage tent that we could receive. That would support a system like that too. Once that's deflated, that can be easily moved back and forth, into either a facility or into a trailer unit. Just helps with that mobilization. So it's a very diverse unit that can be used as multiple things but in this case, we were requesting it for our shelter operations.
Okay.
It's compartmentalized, the unit, if you can picture that. And it basically allows you to just roll this into a shelter operation and set everything up in one shelter.
All right.
What's a trailer for 10,000? Didn't we just purchase a trailer? Didn't we just get a trailer? There's a capital thing here for a trailer.
a 16-foot trailer to
Is that the command post
transport.
you're talking about? Is that the trailer, the command post trailer? You received
That was a CERT trailer.
Search trailer.
Yes.
We have that, right? Don't we have that?
We have a smaller one. We were basically, because of the amount of, equipment that we have for CERT, the state is actually providing us with additional CERT equipment. We don't have anything anywhere to put that, so we were just projecting it, to utilize one additional trailer for that purpose. Because we technically, right now, we have three facilities that we utilize as shelters, one middle school, primary school, and elementary school. And just the ability to move all the equipment around that we have just makes it easier to keep it mobile. And also, too, if we need to assist in any manner, any of the other northern communities, we can also do that. Once again, keeping everything mobile, keeping everything in these trailers, just allows us to get it from one place to another much quicker. Up to this point, in the past, what we had done is we used Yeah, the community center, we store everything there, which requires to go there in with a truck, have personnel quick offloaded from it, it's not a quick proposition, but offloaded from that building to a truck and then mobilize it in that way. If we pre-station or pre-stage these trailers, it just makes the entire effort of shelter management much easier.
So I guess my question, I'm not trying to be selfish here, but the trailer, the additional trailer, and for that matter, the use of our facilities as evacuation sites or whatever it may be, really is for the greater good of Barrier Islands and not necessarily for the township. And we're certainly willing to move forward with and do whatever we can because we do have an obligation to our residents in Strathmere. As well as potential for those that you know, the streets and areas that line where the bayfronts is. But my question is there any available funding that might help us offset some of these costs? Because the preparations that we're doing is really for the greater good of potentially county residents besides just those of Upper Township.
Right.
Obviously, Strathmere is part of it, and I understand that part of it, and you know, I think really in the past 5 to 10 years, Upper has made a huge commitment towards OEM to bring us up to where we need to be. But at some point, you know, is there a way to get some partnership in some of this? Because some of the equipment we seem to be looking at now goes beyond the scope of what we might need to provide to our own residents, is what I'm asking.
The answer is yes, and that's where we come, and we're working with the state, New Jersey State Police, OEM, and their CERT coordinator to get the equipment to place into the trailer, so that there would be no cost for that. And you're talking generators, shovels, all the equipment that would go with, potential setting them up, cots, pillows, blankets, all that kind of thing. Those costs would be zero as far as the township is concerned.
And
also too, another option for that trailer, which we're leaving this open, is for a smaller pet trailer as well, because we have to accommodate for pets in a shelter scenario. So we would be working with the county because they have cages and whatnot that we can actually put in and stick or provide or actually build into this shelter or into the trailer these particular cages to house the animals on a short-term basis. So that's another option for these particular trailers.
So the trailer is just to house the equipment that we're getting from the state and potentially other areas to be utilized for the shelters.
Correct. Correct.
Have we got a commitment for the state-funded equipment at this point?
Yes.
Okay. And do you have an approximate idea what the value of that equipment is?
I'm sorry?
Do you have an approximate idea of what the value of that equipment is?
No, I don't, but I can easily get that for you.
Okay. And, my other question regarding the trailer is, you take a trailer, you fill it up with equipment that has a certain value to it. At that point, where do we locate this trailer when it's not being used in order to secure it? Now, I'm not asking you to divulge something that may be a security concern, so maybe I'll ask it in another way. Do we have a secure location to keep this trailer to avoid that sort of situation?
Yes, we do. It's the same location we currently maintain a lot of our equipment, a lot of our trailer units.
Okay.
I think if I can just update quickly the OEM part of the capital request. The trailer is $10,000, the pod runner is $6,000, and the communications part that's listed here for $9,000 needs to come out. That would have to be an operating expense. So we're looking at a total of $41,000 for OEM between the CAD system, the shelter, the pod runner and the trailer. For capital, correct.
And I should also note that the two trailers that we currently maintain in our emergency management fleet, one was purchased
I'm sorry, I did
free
25
of
here.
charge. We received that from Landing Care. That's the 27-foot trailer that we have. And then our other CERT trailer came from CERT because of the activities that we've done throughout the year in Upper Township and what we've achieved, it enabled us to get that search trail. It was actually assigned to us. So both at no cost to the township.
Well, there's no question we have a great partnership with Ocean City and the county when it comes to opening and providing shelter for potential evacuees. And I do think that it's really important that we stage some of these pods so that they're ready to go versus, haphazardly trying to store things because we lose equipment that way. So I would suggest we keep that part in the budget for or at least in the capital purchases at this point. Agreed.
One more question about the CAD system, if you don't mind.
Sure.
You had mentioned that having this system will help to enable us to be interconnected with a countywide dispatch if we ever get to that point.
Correct.
Now, asking you to put your county hat on, how close are we to that event?
And that's where I brought my special guest.
This county over here.
I just came to keep them straight.
That's hard to do.
We're under contract right now with an architect. They started, I believe they put them on the contract back in December. They have until May 1st to produce contract specification documents and drawings. We're moving to the Hitler County Airport and sharing the old courthouse building with the Lower Township Police Department. It's a joint venture. It's a 48,000 square foot building. Lower Township Police will have half. OEM and Central Communication will be built in the other. We're also pursuing right now taking on Lower Township Dispatch. I don't know if you know that. About 2 years ago, the county did a shared service agreement with Avalon and Stone Harbor to do fire and EMS dispatch, and the Avalon Police consolidated to take on Stone Harbor Police, so that's been going quite well. May 1st is a target to take on Lower Township Dispatch complete, fire, police, and EMS, and we'll be dispatching temporarily out of our facility and courthouse. Part of the InfoShare system is really another step that the county prosecutor's office implemented about 3 years ago with a state grant that all of the police departments now feed into this through the prosecutor's office. From the prosecutor's office goes right to the Attorney General's office. From the Attorney General's office goes right back to Superior Court. With evidence modules, the records management part of it. So what we're looking to do is eventually, once we take on Lower Township, we're going to implement and do away with their system, which is an enforcement system, which is another manufacturer they've had for years, implement the InfoShare so that down the road, it'll be a global system throughout the whole county, both the CAD, the computer automated dispatch, and the records management part of it. By Upper Township having that, you will be able to interface with us like right off the bat. Plus, it's creating the backup. During Hurricane ESAPs, public safety answering points, there's 12 of them in the county. 5 of them on the barrier islands went down during Hurricane Sandy and transferred all dispatch to the county for about 3 or 4 days. So by having that universal CAD and records management system, there was no data loss, and we could still communicate with the different law enforcement, fire, and police agencies. So it's kind of like a building block. The project for central dispatch, like I said, we're going to take on Lower Township first, get our feet wet with them. We're looking at taking on each municipality one at a time. They open up a big center and say, okay, everybody turn the switch on. But as we do this, it'll be, contract will be out for bid on the building renovations, probably, we're hoping by July, and we're looking at a contract completion date of the following June. So we are moving ahead with this. We've gotten handshake commitments by several of the municipalities. So if we, the way we had presented this to Lower Township, we didn't do it as a tax proposal like some of the other counties do. I know you probably read about Atlantic County, they went out left field the way they're doing it. But we looked at a call frequency formula based on the amount of dispatchers we will need, 24 hours, 7 days a week type of situation. Actually, we broke it down into each municipality based on their historical data that our consultant did a study over the last 3 years. And each municipality actually saves money. Some municipalities, the larger call frequencies, they save big money. I mean, you're talking real property tax relief here. For example, taking on Lower Township Dispatch, they're going to save, the first year, they're going to save $187,000. They're paying the county $600,000. The next municipality that comes in, Lower Township drops $500,000. So as each municipality comes in, the savings is going to be distributed equally. The tax situation would not work because of the variation in rateables between the barrier islands and the mainland communities. The same as the call frequencies. They're heavy on the mainland communities, like go to zero in the wintertime of the barrier islands. That formula would not work for Pigman County.
And I think also, John, correct me if I'm wrong, Mayor, but from the last meeting that you had, there's also going to be a potential savings for us if we no longer are in a local agreement with Ocean City. So it's Ocean City has info share too, right now, don't they?
No, they have Cody.
Oh, they have Cody.
That's,
Okay.
that's why I think it wasn't cost effective for us we were thinking about doing that years back, and that's the way we would provide a backup system. But at this point, it's not cost effective to utilize that software program simply because the potential is getting so much greater to head the other direction with InfoShare as far as a regional package.
InfoShare is an internet-based system.
Yes.
Like we don't have and it's probably, we did a lot of research over 2 years. We interviewed and we had demonstrations by about 5 different CAD companies. Like I said, we sort of zoomed in on the InfoShare package because they are a large company, financially sound, and they are for their technologies. And this will be a good fit connected right into the prosecutor's office once we start taking on the different law enforcement agencies, which they feed into it directly now. Like I said, trying to be uniform countywide down the road.
But two, it also provides for your fire services, your MIFRS, and then also your EMS and your mapping systems and whatnot too. It's all included in the package.
Does that help you?
Yeah, it does. I mean, it kind of makes a lot of sense to me. I think it. So then looking at this, removing the $9,000 from the original communication
It's
request,
46,000.
adding back, so we're looking at a $46,000 dollar request from emergency management. And, I kind of would be inclined to go along with that recommendation. How do you gentlemen feel?
No, I think that to get to the end source, sometimes you have to do prior planning. The end source could ultimately, potentially save the township money with dispatch and a lot of other things from the communication things. And by the way, everything is being set up so that we can communicate effectively with the state as well. And, I think that potentially that could affect some funding and other resources for us as we move, along and we're more prepared for these kind of things. So, obviously it's a rather large investment, but the reality is right now we don't have any real good system in place. I mean, we have a system that's sufficient and does a good job of what we're doing, but it doesn't hurt to upgrade and get us more efficient.
Exactly.
And we've been tested a lot. I mean, there's no question about it. Even though Irene was sort of a bust, Sandy certainly wasn't. What we've had in the past, Joaquin, certainly caused a decent amount of damage. Jonas could potentially been a lot bigger than what it was. And it seems in the past, 5 years, we really have utilized our OEM services a lot more than we ever had in all the years that I've been on this township committee. And whether we're trending towards, a bad decade or whatever the case may be, I think we really need to be prepared for whatever the future may bring us. Hopefully nothing, but to not be prepared and cross our fingers is not really the way to approach this thing. So
I think I'm good with moving along.
okay.
Gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Appreciate your patience with us. Moving on to beach patrol, is there anyone here to,
You know, I have to apologize. I did see Captain Hanley yesterday, and you know, I kind of have an idea where he is. He's been to the past 2 meetings, and he had a conflict tonight, and he would have been here. I said that I think that we can handle the discussion, so. You know, I think the issue, I had intimated to him yesterday prior to getting your email that, you know, we were looking at the feasibility of redesigning the existing ATV that we have for the EMTs, getting the EMTs a new one, but retrofitting the existing one with racks for obviously their equipment that needs transport. It's not set up well at this point for them, so we have to do some changes. I guess the question is that a viable piece of equipment at this point for them to utilize for a couple of years to get us through what we need to do?
Yeah, I think as long as it's not a life safety piece of equipment, you know, that's fine.
I got the impression, I mean, you know, they use the pickup truck for extreme emergencies, and I would imagine that the ATV that you're requesting for the rescue squad will be utilized there in the summertime, which should give us, you know, ample backup for what we need for emergencies. I mean, what's happened in a lot of these emergencies are more related towards not necessarily their job, but we're doing calls to Whale Beach, we're doing calls to Corson's Inlet, where there's really more potential personal injury than what we've seen locally on the beaches. So even though we're providing it so that we have good equipment on the beaches, you know, some of the things we've been doing is more mutual aid, I guess, is quote unquote, you know, covering areas that are very close to us or in our boundaries we don't normally have beach patrol presence on.
And I think in addition to that, Mayor, not just with the beaches involved, but look at the amount of events that we're having on the mainland. I mean, it's a utility vehicle that you can get in and out of closed areas. Just look at Amanda's Field itself. I mean, it's a long jog going across the football field or some of those fields out there where you have a vehicle you can use for an emergency.
So I think we're okay with that part, John. I do want to see us move forward with that aluminum design that we were able to use. We had one last year that is really corresponds closely to what we have, the wooden structures. We tested 2. And one was a wide open device that really left the lifeguards really in sun's harm way more than what they are with the closed box structure that we had. So I'd like to see us start moving in another direction to replace the wooden ones with the aluminum one. They're much lighter. There's a lot less risk for back injuries, which is what we've had. We've had some leg and foot injuries, you know, with the heavier wooden ones because they're difficult to move. And I think there's less likely to have damage because unfortunately some of them have been damaged by, you know, some folks that feel that they could use them for creating bonfires and other issues that, you know, we've had, you know, some problems with over the years. I think this will protect them better. It'll protect our lifeguards better. They should stand up a lot better, you know, based on how they're made. So I think that we should keep that in and start trying to, you know, over the next few years, replace the existing ones with the aluminum ones.
How many are we looking to phase in this year? Mayor, you know off the top of your head? I know from the meetings that we've had talking about the longevity, I mean, just, we're not gonna see a cost savings right away, but down the road, I mean, talking to the guys at Public Works fixing these things, I mean.
Well, they cost between $600 and $800 to
The
build.
$9,000 here would buy 5 stands.
About 5.
Yeah, I mean, we already have one in place.
What's the total number we need?
I think it's 9. Because we have Beasley's Point as well, so, you know, I mean, don't quote me, but I think it's 9. It's 8 in one in Strathmere and 1 for Beasley's Point.
Beasley's Point, we don't have the tide issue so much for moving them around. Once they're there, so if we had to wait for that one. That would be the, we're going to wait for them.
But that beach is being utilized more and more.
You know, it is.
And
So,
you don't have the movement of the
You don't move the
sand.
stand.
Right, yeah, you might move it 10 feet, 15 feet, but that's about it.
So if we were to keep the 9 in here, to buy 5 this year, maybe do another 4 or 5 next year if we need them, we'll be.
we should be
where we need to be.
Yep.
With that, Mr. Potter, do you have any idea, since you're the ATV expert of the day, what kind of funds it would take if we were to retrofit the existing vehicle to make it work for the lifeguards?
The med bed that's in the back of ours now did not come with that Kubota.
Okay,
That is just mounted in there. So that's literally 4 bolts and that thing's going back to the pickup bed.
okay.
It has a hydraulic belt plug in it. So I would go out on a limb to think we could retrofit that in-house. Very expensive. You need some tubes to go up and they overhead racks for them to put the long boards on, you know, that kind of stuff.
So it'd be something you could take out to a welder to bend some tubing and
I would think we could probably do it in-house, but I don't speak for public works, but I haven't seen the work they've done before.
Well, we did go outside for the racks that are on the beach patrol pickup truck.
Okay, well, we bought those, correct?
Right.
Because they fit that.
Yeah, they were pre-made.
But I wouldn't think more than $500 to $1,000 you can retro that.
Yeah, I mean, I said 2,000, you know, I mean,
There are like 3 fabricators within the area.
I know, that's it.
So we want to do it out of aluminum or stainless too, so.
I mean, I think if you did, to be on the safe side, I would say 2,000. It should cover everything.
I don't know that that's a capital item that would.
No,
No,
that
we
that
were
would be
gonna put
something,
that
if we could
back
just
into
put
the
that
budget.
into the O&E for the lifeguards.
Yep.
So that would take the lifeguard request from 23,000, and that would go to 9.
Right. And then
Everybody,
we'll budget the retrofitting through the,
just do the operating expenses. All right. Well, since we're talking about beach rescue vehicles, hey, Jay, if you wouldn't mind again, talk to us about your needs for your beach rescue vehicle and your camera system.
Well, the beach rescue vehicle, I've obviously talked to Bill Hanley quite a bit about a joint project. I think ours currently is 2009. It lives every summer on the beach, and that's the unfortunate part. If it was out here in Mansfield for the summer, it wouldn't be nearly, the problem is it runs great, it's a diesel, it's just corroded. The frame rails are just about gone. Every year we bring it back, we power wash it, we sandblast it, repaint it, to try to hold it. When it goes to a damage every year to get serviced, then, they're like, you're really stretching the luck of this thing.
so then the question is retrofitting it, I mean, is that even a value for us to consider?
Yeah, I think so, because they're not going to carry nearly the weight we're carrying. You got to think about it, we put a driver, a medic on the back, and a patient. So there's 3 people, sometimes there's 4 people on that unit at one time. For what they're going to do, it's equipment and maybe a driver. At least that's what me and Bill have kind of talked about. But, I think the $33,000 unit, I think after going back and looking at it, I think we could bring that down. I think if we put 20 in there, we'd be fine. It just seems like,
Well, I guess, and I love cutting these numbers, believe me, but I also want to make sure that for something like this, that a $20,000 unit, and I know nothing about these things, okay, so, that a $20,000 unit is going to be able to carry the type of load that we need, and,
Yeah, it'll be the same Kubota vehicle. The bed on the back just won't be quite as expensive as the one you're looking at. And when you look at it, no matter what we do, the age is only going to get us to the same thing back with the environment on the beach. So,
And what's that life that you anticipate, Jed?
what's that?
What's the life that you
I don't
anticipate?
expect it to last longer. It's going to be the same exact.
So it was purchased in 2009, and so you count 2009 as a season, and then you go through the other 5, so 6 years?
about 6 years.
Yeah, or 6 seasons, whatever. You do utilize that, right, at times during the winter time, right, for some different activities?
Comes out here for the 4th of July fireworks. We do keep it out here all winter just for the remote rescue in the woods because you got a lot of homes that will go in the remote places.
Now we keep that in a trailer across the street from the Stratford Fire. Are we gonna need another trailer because now we have 2 vehicles?
I don't know what the beach patrol is going to house that in, but I mean, yeah, I guess we would have to put it in a separate trailer.
So I'm thinking out loud here.
There's a $5,000 purchase for the trailer because you need the height.
Is there,
No.
is there the possibility of, and I have no idea how much room they have at the Strathmere Fire Hall, but could we house it, at least keep it there at night?
No, because we've tried that in the past. They're really stacked as it is with what they have for vehicles.
Basically, 2.
There was room there, so they bought their 5-ton.
Yeah, they got that.
I mean, the lot that we own in Stratford, could we put a shed on that lot?
We don't have.
Be careful, because we don't own that lot anymore. We used it for something else.
Well, I think we're talking across the same lines that we talked with OEM. I mean, it's readiness. It's being able to transport a piece of equipment, on the drop of a dime. So, I mean, he's got 33 in here. He wants to drop back and punt at 20, throw another 5 in for a trailer. We're still under the 33 that he had in here.
Yeah, right.
And we have a piece of equipment that's ready to be moved at a moment's notice.
So keep the existing trailer for the existing Kubota that we have.
Bruce, you can also utilize that trailer too, the lifeguards for a lot of their equipment too. Can't that visual work? For a lot of the lifeguard equipment and stuff that they have, instead of leaving it like their boards and stuff like that, they can be put in there at the end of the season.
Yeah, storage is a problem.
Dry storage.
All right, so instead of reducing by 13, we're looking at reducing by 8. Now, you also were looking for a digital camera system.
The digital alley camera system is something that came up new. That mounts in place of where the rearview mirror is in the ambulance. And what that unit does is it constantly video records the driver and the front of the vehicle. So it's really a safety point, almost like the original cop cars had. If they hard brake, if the lights are on, it constantly is recording, so if somebody pulls out in front of them, the device is capturing that data for us to get back. It will also record if we choose to. If we want to go to that step, it can record the patient compartment as well. It doesn't actually have the patient, because that's a big no-no, but it has a back angle that is coming off the back of the truck, so the only thing you see is the attendant or the EMT working. You don't actually see the patient in the patient's face. So don't think that we're going to, it's not directly at the patient, it comes from the backside of the patient, but there's a second camera available for that.
Now, this is one unit?
No, No, that would be all.
Oh, so you'll equip all your vehicles?
Yes, every truck would have that.
So in the future, it would be better to spec the vehicle with this in it?
Absolutely. We would expect every new truck
Yeah.
to dump it right in the new truck.
Now, are there any storage information?
Yes.
Issues?
Yeah.
It stores the information on the unit itself, and it also sends it up to the cloud some magical way out. It saves it on the machine itself, so if there's a download issue, you still have the data. But it records speeds, it records, use of sirens. So I mean, as you know, that's huge in, a catastrophic injury.
Risk management.
So,
I don't know if there's an insurance reduction through the JIF, if we had the vehicles equipped with that. I would certainly think they would look at that favorably and say, hey, we're looking at something that's going to protect them as well as us.
My original response to something like this would be, it's not something that enhances the ability of the rescue squad to perform their basic duty, which is to save a life. So with that, I think Ed and Jeff probably have a lot more expertise on the other end of things when it comes to what makes sense for emergency vehicles, and I'd like to get your input.
Personally, in today's day and age, I saw it at one time when police cars had nothing in them. And we have officers now wearing body cameras, and there's a reason for that. And anything, I think, to protect ourselves, and especially in a risk management mode, $6,300 is a lot of money when you're facing some type of allegation when you have some type of video equipment inside a vehicle that's documenting what's going on. So it doesn't take much to sell me on this because I've utilized it. It's helped in investigations. I know in my career with this video information, so I would say give it a go at it.
Also, we use it in our first-in vehicles in the fire service, and countless numbers of times that could be called on for legal actions if the chief has to go to court. That's one thing. The other thing is it's a training tool. It's fantastic because you capture what's going on as the first in vehicles come into the scene. They use that to say, hey, these are the things we did right, these are the things we did wrong. They can watch the back of their truck and critique after an event. Maybe you didn't put the device in properly, or maybe the person wasn't satisfactorily put into the system. So, I can see potential all the way around this, training and everything.
Unfortunately, there's two speeds that we travel, too slow and too fast.
Yeah.
And this really takes both of those off the radar.
Yeah.
Because you can go back and when you show the resident the video and say, well, no, here's how fast they were going, here's the video slot. It really does knock that down. We had the same issue with the Kubota. We chose the Kubota for the fact it does 25 miles an hour when it's brand new off the showroom floor, it's a diesel. And we've been accused of doing 60 miles an hour down the beach. Nah, couldn't have been us. We can only do 25.
Got a governor on it, right?
Yeah, well, that's max speed. Do anything you want to, it's going 25. And that's why we did that, because, when people see you go by, they're like, oh, they're going 80 miles an hour. No, not really. So,
How many vehicles will the 6,300 cover?
4.
That'll be for 4 vehicles.
4 vehicles. All 4 of the primary emergency vehicles will be covered.
And like you said, storage, not like we're gonna have to go get a server or anything like that.
It's all done it's all downloadable to us. It'll download to our system, or it'll download to the cloud. We'll pull down as we want. If you have no reason, it'll just rewrite itself. So So it just continues to write over itself, you don't need to even download it.
So we're looking at a capital request of 31.3. Any objections?
Nope. I mean, really,
It's well worth it.
they're out there on a daily basis, and obviously, in emergencies, their sirens are on, but they always run the risk that someone could go through a stop area, or, we're going through stop areas to try and expedite time in the hopes of saving potentially somebody's life. So, after hearing the conversation, it seems like it's something prudent that we should have on the vehicles. I mean, it sounds like we already have it on the fire vehicles.
Yes.
The first in vehicle.
The last one is the ambulance replacement. After talking with Barb, we moved it. I wasn't initially intending the 2016 purchase, but because of the way the capital improvement works, then going out to bid, and then waiting for the truck to be built, our build time currently is about a year once we place the order. So unfortunately, we're looking at a 5-year rotation. We're gonna have to move that to a 3-year approval, still getting it on that 5th year.
So you order it now, but you don't pay for it for another year.
So what are we looking at right now?
Well, I mean, if we were gonna replace an ambulance, this budget year, 2016, assuming the budget, this won't go through till sometime mid-April, then it's gotta go out to, it's gotta go to bid. So that's another 2-month process easily, and then a year from that before we actually take delivery.
Before it's over.
And where does it stand with your existing vehicles now?
We will be replacing a 2012 or 158,000 miles. We had a repair done 3 days ago for $6,000.
Which by the time we get the other vehicle in our hands, it's gonna have more additional miles on it.
It'll easily go to pushing 200,000. Unfortunately. The biggest problem we have is the distance we travel from most calls and Upper to Shorts, a round trip of about 60 miles.
Is it feasible at all to save the box on the back and do a chassis
We
switch?
did that on this last one we did, we remounted it. The ambulance manufacturer will let you remount the box one time.
Okay,
Then they say it's not safe to remount, so
Has this one been remounted?
it's been remounted.
we did that in 2012. And we just did it again in 16 with the Kenworth, and it saved us, I think last year, I think we saved almost $50,000 doing that. The other thing that I could look at, if you wish, is we could look at maybe leasing it, if that's an option. I know we've never done that in the past, we always just,
I mean, I think it's worthwhile to look into, but it sounds like they're putting a substantial amount of miles on it. And that's where I think the leasing becomes not cost effective, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't look into it. So I would suggest that we pursue that a little bit.
okay.
So if we were to go through the process this year, we obviously wouldn't pay for it in this year.
Wouldn't pay for it until almost 18. Because you have all 17 for them to build it. Even if we could approve at the end of 16, you wouldn't see it until almost the end of 17. It's that year built, and Jeff will tell you with fire truck, it's probably almost 2.5 years to get a truck built.
Any down payment required? Or, no?
I don't think they require it.
Okay,
We've never put it down in the past,
okay.
just sign on the dotted line.
How about vehicles after that though? What are we looking at?
Well, we had said, from way back when Committeeman Newman was here, we were looking at a 5-year rotation. But I think because of that time, we're gonna have to say a 3-year budget with 5-year
Implementation.
unless the manufacturing process picks up speed and says they'll do it in less than a year right now.
You've got 4 units?
One is owned by the volunteer squad, so they replaced that one. So the township won't replace the two, that's our 5-year rotation.
The township has 2 that we own, the volunteer squad has 2.
Yes.
How are the volunteer squad funding their units?
Road sale.
Pardon?
Road sale. Last weekend. Fundraising. Annual donations from our fund drive letter and then fundraisers. We leased the current volunteer truck and did a 6-year lease on that with $1 buy-out to the lease. That's what made me ask the question.
Well,
What's the lease?
what kind of numbers are you looking at?
$2,000 a month. I don't know, the interest rate, I want to say was around 4%, so I don't know if that makes any sense with the interest we pay.
But 2,000 a month, that's 24,000 a year times, it gets us through at least 4 years, almost 5, before we get to the value of the
I
ambulance.
think we did this, I think it's a 6-year lease.
Did they limit your mileage, Jay?
No,
So it's 2,000 a month unlimited.
unlimited, because we're buying it at the end for $1.
Well, that might be.
How far are you into this
I
one?
mean, yeah, you're still 143,000.
This lease.
So I'm
Probably 3 years into it. So that's what made me bring it up. I mean, I'll pursue it with the same company. I mean, there's multiple lease companies out there that lease these vehicles. I don't know if, I'm not good enough with the capital side, if that makes sense for us to do that or not. I don't know what the capital interest is.
No, but if it's 24,000 a year, okay?
You're 144,000.
Times 6 is, it's like 144,000 compared to what it would cost for us to purchase it. And we're getting a new, we're guaranteed new equipment every 6 years by doing it that way.
What is the residual value of, the ambulance that's being replaced?
The one that you would trade in now, probably about $8,000.
You almost can't go wrong by leasing if those numbers are right. Yeah,
If there's no, I was only concerned about mileage. And if they're not putting any mileage restrictions on it, it looks like it's an option that we should look at.
Absolutely.
You could lease every 2 years. Why go 6? Why go every 2 years?
Because I don't think the leasing company does it that way. Nobody's putting leasing money out unless they're making money somehow. So, they look at the overall, cost of the vehicle and depreciation and everything else. So, but from our aspect, it might be potentially a way to consider.
Any money down, Jay?
I don't remember, I do think there was a down. I'm not gonna have the leasing company run some numbers tomorrow, I'll email it to you.
Yeah, I think we owe it to ourselves to take a look at that.
No, I agree.
What other vehicles do they lease?
ATVs?
Well, I know they lease fire trucks. I don't know if they do RTVs, but I'll certainly ask them why I don't know. But I know there's a lot of fire departments that lease their vehicles.
Yeah, we lease ours.
Jeff, yours is a lease, right? Your last one, right? The tanker.
It's something to look at.
All right.
All right, road reconstruction, of course, that's the big one. I've looked at the inventory of streets, my back of the matchbook math is telling me that most of these streets are 20 years or more since they've been paved. It seems like the biggest item in our capital expenses, but nevertheless, I think we have a responsibility to make sure that our streets are kept in decent shape. And my thought would be that if we delay, it's only going to get more expensive to.
And that's why the list is as it is, because we had slowed down on what we were doing and resurfacing, and now we got to play a little bit of catch up. If you remember, the sheet that doesn't have any, we have one sheet of, I'll say, the rehabilitation list that's overall, and then on that second sheet that has, the 2016 capital bond streets, that's the shorter list. It's just around 6.5 miles worth of streets. That would be, where it has kind of the totals at the bottom. That was what I was proposing to be paved during the next project. And, the other, 12 miles of streets would be would be divvied up during the next future projects. But at least it shows the residents, what streets are in need of repair and the process and how we're gonna phase them in.
Not to catch you off guard, but how many road miles do we have?
70.45, somewhere around
And
there.
this is what, this is how many?
On about 18.2, 18.3.
All right, and the last project was,
We did just around 5. Back 2 years ago, we did about 5 miles of street,
okay,
and that was around $1 million, just over $1 million.
so this is gonna get, 40% of our streets basically aren't gonna have to be done now for another 20 years. Now, obviously, there's still 60%, give or take in there, that are gonna have to be done.
Right, there's still a batch that aren't on this list that are gonna be, if you ask me in 5 more years, I'm gonna be able to probably pull, maybe not another 5 miles, but because now I'm getting into less newer streets. If you remember, we're in the bulk, the bulk of our road mileage was built, from essentially when the casinos developed, from the late 70s through the 80s. That's when we added all the road mileage to the township. So, you could, from 85 till now, everything built there is over its useful life. If you get 20 years out of pavement, you've done really good. And we're pushing 30 years on some streets.
You're just looking at the years of some of these streets.
Yeah, I know.
Nothing big's done to them. Yeah.
And some of them have 30 plus years on them. Like in this list, if you look up at like North Drive, Poe, some of those streets up in Beasley's Point, they probably haven't been touched since they were built in the 70s.
Especially with the way that you have it broken down with the driveways, you have an idea how many homes are on that street, the use that street's probably getting.
I have no objection here.
I think it's,
I don't think we have a choice.
no, it's, you either do it now or you pay for it later on down the road. No pun intended.
And I noticed, John, on your sheet, you talked about advertising. What we did the last time when the list was finalized, that list of streets was publicized, and put out there so the residents knew which streets were going to get paved. If you want the second list put out there too, is so that the resident says, hey, why wasn't my street? But then they say, oh, I'm at least getting close. Because I've had some discussions like that with the residents saying, oh, you're not on this first list, but at least if they know, hey, I got a light at the end of the tunnel, maybe not this year, but maybe 5 years from now, I got a shot at getting it paved. They can see what's going on.
Yeah, definitely. You keep them informed and advise with the method that Amanda says. I think
It's nice to let everybody know what we're paying for.
right. Exactly.
Yes.
So the other items in engineering, the crossover passes Strathmere. Is that something we can do out of our operating budget? Capitalize?
Well, that's typically that's where, I kind of list it as capital, but that's typically, we usually either put it in, it's either listed in my O&E or into like we do have a line item for Strathmere projects, as capital within the budget. I know we've done that in previous years. So, that's, and a lot of that is where we have some of the timber crossovers. We're looking at, when the Army Corps replaced some of them, they did, the gravel crossovers and grading them down, from a maintenance standpoint, I think it would give us a lot more longevity. So that's really what I was looking at doing, was taking some of those, not all of them, because I think, some residents do like, the timber walkovers, but I've had some requests now that they've seen these newer paths, it's a little easier, the families that want to carry their wagons and stuff like that, it's tough to cart a wagon.
So this is, not I'll use Vincent as an example, they have steps up to where the Army Corps built the ramp up on the dunes.
Yes,
Your suggestion that we do it down to the street?
correct. And then even some of them in Whale Beach, where we have room. But to start really up
Well, we
and
should keep
down.
maintenance down, because after a while, those planks start coming up and,
Correct. It becomes a maintenance issue, and talking with Mike, and Tom, I think that the paths are nice and wide. We have we can get a piece of equipment in there, clean them out every year in the spring. It's going to be a whole lot easier than trying to rebuild the timber and keep them up.
now the only thing that the timber does is it kind of holds, some of that vegetation like poison ivy stuff that actually serves as a purpose to keep the dune or, something in place is going to go over those roads. And how are we going to do that?
Well, that's that yearly maintenance. We're going to, because, if you remember the old paths, we never built them wide enough. So everything always kind of grew in tight and you could never maintain them sufficiently. With these new wider paths, we can get a piece of equipment in there, keep it graded out, and, if we keep up with the maintenance and keep that vegetation back away from the paths, we won't have those issues becoming too arduous for us.
So, again, I know it's only $6,000, but maybe pull that out of there and just leave that in the operating budget, or just do it out of our operating. The Webster Avenue Playground and Bulkhead, $110,000. Is that something, again, that we can pull out of the operating budget? The bulkhead, can we get funding for it? I'm not saying add 110 to the budget. I saw the look.
I'm glad for that.
So the bulk of that is for the bulkhead, right? The 110,000.
Most of it is for the bulk.
Doesn't cost that.
Well, there is a lion's share for the playground, because we're looking, instead of doing the mulch surfacing, which every high tide storm like we have this, 2/3 of the mulch ends up in the street and I gotta use a road sweeper to clean it up. We're looking to do that safety surfing thing, it's a solid safety, like the rubber that we did, like a Golden Oak, and, that we've done up at the school has done. So that's really where we'd like to start. If you look in the other projects, if you looked at, we put that safety surfacing, to kind of program out some years that, especially for our high volume playgrounds, Amanda's Field, Caldwell Park, that get the heavy usage, the amount of manpower that it takes to move the mulch. It's not just the cost of the mulch. A truckload of mulch is over $2,000 for a truckload of mulch. That it may take 2 truckloads to do a Caldwell Park. And then most of that's handwork, because you can't get pieces of equipment in there. So you're talking about guys either having to hand dig it out and then wheelbarrow that mulch in. So it's a long, labor-intensive process. Whereas if we can spend some money to put the mulching, that safety surfacing down, it'll be there for the life of the play structure, and we won't have to go back and maintain it.
All right, so my question is you're kind of committed to getting the playground refurbished for the summer. And to do the bulkhead, you're gonna have to go through permitting and all kinds of other issues. So, it sounds,
I don't think we'll be able to get the playground. We've done some rehab on the park itself, and we've done, we've done that maintenance where the maintenance kind of was lacking over the last year. So we have increased the maintenance. We'll probably go in there and have to do some painting, but it's not, to go in there, when we started looking at, doing the plan and kind of laying it out, okay, we're going to do safety surfacing, I could probably replace the bulkhead with the play equipment there. But once we put in that permanent, that safety, I don't want to spend $20,000 on safety surfacing. I can't work around that.
To find a way to
with the
buy it,
bulkhead.
because I think we pretty much committed to redoing that playground for the summer.
Yeah.
So we're not going to delay that. We committed they had representatives here, we committed to having that playground up and running and new for the summer. So I don't want to go back on our word on that.
The only thing I would look at for that board in place, before you commit to that, is have somebody do some research on that, because with that bulkhead not being done, how much water can that take? If water gets underneath of that, it's going to float. It's going to float. So it's a very expensive board in place to have a tide come in and get underneath of it and take it away. It's just like, the beach bill, $3.5 million on nature, take it away. $40,000 for a board in place. And if water gets underneath of it before that bulkhead is done,
Well, I would suggest we find sufficient playground equipment that we can put in and live with until we get to the point of getting the bulkhead, because even if it means we buy equipment and we have to,
Take it out.
and redo something, we've committed to taking care of the existing playground.
So then you need to, we can, I can get with Barb and pair out, I think my original estimate budget request had just the playground equipment in there, so I think we can look at that. You'd have to put that back into the budget.
I mean, we don't necessarily have to do the rubber resurfacing
Now,
with this project.
and wait to do that with the
Put
bulkhead.
mulch, And then when we get what we need before we put the bulkhead in, then we go back and do that. But at this point, I think the equipment needs to be replaced.
The other thing I think that was a concern for the Strathmere residents that were here at that meeting, if I remember correctly, they were talking about there were some issues with the fence. It was perhaps a safety hazard.
We took all that old fencing down.
Okay, so that's
That's why I said in my first thing, we corrected a lot of, I'll say,
Safety issues.
a lot of the maintenance issues that were addressed in their issues. We took care of that in very short order after they brought it to our attention.
So in other words, we're gonna go ahead with the bulkhead, but not right now, we're just gonna put equipment in.
No, I think it's a parallel project, because we're not gonna get approval on the bulkhead. It's gonna take at least a year, if not longer, to get done.
Because I agree with Mike, from the experience I've had down there, is the bulkhead that's existing right now is in disrepair. And what would happen is if we were to put that surface in, we would have erosion right from underneath that surface back out into the bay, and we would be wasting the money, so.
I'm not arguing that. I'm saying we put some new equipment up, we use the old method of mulch for the time being. We go ahead and start applying for the permits that need to be done for the bulkhead, and then once we get them and we're tallied up to do this project, then we consider putting the rubberized field or whatever you want to put for a surface to replace it.
Yeah, we're on the same page.
Can that bulkhead be done as emergency repair on that one corner? The one corner is the worst.
I mean, we can repair it, but to do it, we do emergency repairs right now. We go out and put timber sheeting behind it and
Can we put some
shore it up.
concrete behind it to reinforce it for the time being?
Well, that's what we do. But it's, I think it's to the point where we're starting to make improvements to the facility behind it. Let's not put all this money on the facility behind it. Let's, make the repairs and, improvements to the bulkhead so we're done with it. It's showing signs of deterioration. That timber sheeting is not going to get better. As you know, as wood starts to deteriorate, it's only going to continue to get worse. It's not going to get better.
The southern corner is the worst one.
Southern corner, there's also a spot in the middle.
Now, in this 110,000, equipment for the playground is included in this?
Yes.
Okay.
So you're saying to put the 110?
I'm saying put that in,
Yeah.
but I think what we'll do is we'll purchase.
We'll bisect the projects and make them
We'll
two
have the
projects.
money bonded for a future date when we get what we need to have before we can do it. I mean, if you think how long it's taken us to get the approvals to do the boat ramp, Council, what are we
Well,
facing?
the bulkheading is a much easier it's more of a general permit, because the bulkhead,
We don't need DEP and that
you
kind
need
of?
a DEP permit, but it's a much easier bulkhead. I mean, it's an easier permit because they have standardized general permits that if you're going out to bulkhead, you go out 18 inches, you standardize where it goes, and the permit process is pretty, I won't say it's a rubber stamp approval, but it's an easier process. The boat ramp is, it's more work in the water. They don't have a general permit for that type of work, so the permitting process is lengthier.
So you can't have it done and repaired in 3 months?
No.
Well, that's the point.
Yes.
Okay, so I think you understand.
I understand how you want the project phased. Yes, I do.
Reverse engineered. If you're putting it first.
So, I guess that leaves us with our Public Works group. Now, I'd like to kind of back into this another way. I know when we sent the projected capital sheets out, the capital requests have changed somewhat. So I'd like to back up to the original requests, which you'll see on a cheat sheet that I prepared for you gentlemen. Why don't we start with the rear load trash truck? Who's here from Public Works to talk about the equipment needs?
Me.
Rear loader?
I am.
And Paul.
The rear loader, the rear loader's needed to, we have one rear loader. We want to move to picking up recycling, for all our commercial accounts with dumpsters to improve economy and time and manpower. We can't implement that program because if the one rear loader that we have goes down, then the restaurants and the campgrounds can't get the recycling picked up, and we can't have them sitting for too long without servicing them. And obviously, you can't tip a dumpster just by getting behind it and lifting it up.
So
all of
who
our
owns the dumpsters? The commercial properties?
the program we were going to look at doing was that the commercial properties would get the dumpsters, and then we would service them, just like they currently provide their own cans. But right now we go into some campgrounds and we pick up, before we got the carts, we were picking up 30 some trash cans at a location. That takes a long time for two guys to go out there and empty 30 some cans.
So the idea is to try to increase the efficiency. Having them go out, instead of picking up 30 trash cans of recyclables, I think we talked about this, Paul, is introducing an ordinance in which they would have to supply their own can, their own
Yes.
dumpster. They would put all their recyclables into that dumpster, and we would utilize the rear loader's trash truck to be able to pick up these cans. And number one, less chance of liability with people picking up trash cans like we did with the one-armed bandits. And the other thing too is time. We're going to save on time. And we can't get away, it seems, with our method of picking up leaves and brush. We still need rear loader trucks, no matter how we look at it. We're always going to need them.
And we tried, the original thought was, when we started talking about automation and moving to that, we thought we were going to be able to retrofit some of our old trucks, but when you, with the tippers on the back, but, we have some cart tippers on the back, but when we start at this point now, I think the last rear load truck is,
I mean, we just had a truck go
2000
wear and tear, as we were talking before.
a 2005 is our newest rear loader that we have still in the fleet. That's 10 years old. It's just not, we don't have anything good to attach the hooks and the hoist to put it up on there. So it's, in order for us to pick up brush, in order for us to pick up loose leaves and to pick up commercial recycling and to pick up the trash and recycling in Strathmere. And that's what, those are all the other different functions we use the rear loader for. So as, we have one new rear loader, we need another truck to back up, because those other 4 or 5 rear loaders that we have, we barely got through leaf season. 2 of them are probably done after this current leaf season. So that leaves us, we need 1 rear loader to pick up compost, and then we still need another rear loader besides the newer rear loader to help pick up in the, we put 2 commercial trucks in the summertime.
Are they running every day?
Not every day, but they both run on Mondays and Tuesdays and Fridays.
And they're used as backups for when the one arm goes in?
They are used as a spare, so.
All right, let's look at the original fleet of rear loaders. We started out with 7. How many of them do we still have floating around in there?
1, 2, we have 5.
We still have 5.
And like I said, 2 of them are, we kind of beat them pretty up with loose leaf collection. 1 might be able to help us out with our spring loose leaf collection, but after that, those 2 will be retired.
All right, well, here's what my recommendation would be. Right now, in the greater Philadelphia area, there are between 18 and 24 trucks floating around that are late 2013 and newer trucks that were used in rental service. They're all coming out of rental service. Haddon Heights actually just went out to bid for one and purchased it for a pretty good...
It was a used truck.
It was a used truck. They are on Freightliner bodies. They're double axles. They're on Freightliner chassis. There's also some international chassis. They are Heil, 25 yards with reaming hoists. Ordinarily, they have 2 toter tables on them. So
that's exactly what
it's exactly the type of specification you would need for that. There's also a few McNeil's floating in there, so they're decent packages. I've heard some of them have gone for as low as $119,000. Now that probably is more of a private sale. So maybe what I would recommend would be, why don't we talk to Haddon Heights, or we see if we can get a copy of their bid spec.
Sure.
And then, on the proposal sheets, let's bid a couple of alternates. I would look at reducing the capital from 215,000 to 175 on that, and going in that direction.
That's
going to cut us. It's going to cut 40,000.
I mean, for us, a secondary, spare truck. I think that would serve the fleet well.
John, are we gonna miss the boat though, because of the process we have to go through? Are these trucks gonna still be there?
They should be around. I think that they'll be around for a good 6 months or more. And if we approve this, go through our process, and it's simultaneously, let's get our bid specs ready and go.
Well, it does have another advantage, just like, our build times aren't as long as Jay's build times, but if, for a new truck, we still would have been looking for an 8 to 9 month build time. So it would able to put it, we'd be able to put it in the service, obviously much quicker. So that would also help.
So some orders for new trucks that were placed in December, and they're probably not going to show up till mid-May.
Yes.
So yes, there's quite a bit of lead time right now.
Sounds like a plan.
So that's fine. I think that's.
All right. Moving on, I see a Toro 72-inch mower, and further down on the list, I see a mowing tractor.
Yes.
So, looking at that, Paul, can you kind of help me out with the need for both? Would it be possible to do?
They do they do 2 different things.
Okay.
The Toro mower mows athletic fields, so it's does a finer cut, and it's going to have less weight distribution on the turf, so it doesn't rut the turf up. the roadside mower is a tractor, that we're going down, so it's essentially a brush hog.
Okay.
So it's a rougher cut. You're not gonna be able to take a brush hog, you could say, I could get a different mower deck and try to get a finer cut with it, but then you're not gonna have, then you're gonna be rutting up your athletic fields because that tractor just isn't made for that. Then if you tried to buy a tractor that wouldn't rut it up, it's not gonna be set up to go down the road and do the road work. So it's, it's really two different functions, even though they both are mowers, two different functions, so you need two different sets of machines.
Arturo Road was replaced, how old is that, do you know?
2004.
2004?
So that's out there, didn't we just buy one?
replaces over
We just bought a big
Just
one.
bought-
This is the smaller, the other one's what, a 12-foot cut?
18.
18-foot cut?
This is a 72.
Yeah, this, so it's two different.
It was actually 2003.
How many hours do we have on that boom mower that we have, the Kubota?
I got my mileages, I don't have I didn't get all
How often is it
the.
used?
Lately, not too much.
Not too much.
What, the roadside mower?
Yeah, the roadside mower. Like, how much would we pay for that?
Well, the roadside mowers, they're out mainly during the late spring and through the summertime because they're mowing the swales, so.
But how often are we using it? That's,
Well,
what I hear is it's not used that often.
Well, probably mainly because we don't have a man to sit in there. And then we get the calls and the complaints because, we send the resident the notice to cut their grass, but our swales and roadsides are standing up high.
But I understand that, but the question, what I'm trying to get at is it's got it's a tractor. So we're asking for another tractor, when we have a tractor that's sitting there, that you're saying we don't even have a person to put in it. So what I'm just asking is it feasible to utilize that vehicle for multi-purpose to do something else?
It's too wide.
It's too wide?
Too wide for ourselves, yes.
Thank you.
And that's replacing a 1997.
What's that?
That's replacing a 1997 tractor.
So the mowing tractor itself, instead of using a brush hog type deck on the back of it, if you pulled a deck, and if you can still get them, but like they use in turf farms with the real mowers, would that be something that would be usable on the field?
Yeah, but the tractor wouldn't be. You couldn't put that tractor on the turf field.
Not even with turf tires on it?
Now you're gonna move it. Now you're gonna move your reel system around every 30 feet. You gotta go to, because they go from Cotwell, used to make church, they didn't anymore elementary school. You do it over here at Bess's, down in the pit. You can't do those real mowers like that. Most of your maintenance would be higher than that. They're chipping blades all the time and half the field be cut. They're made for farming.
All right, I have a suggestion.
Yeah, I see.
Because we're at 7:30. I hate to keep, putting you guys into more and more meetings, but would it make sense to kind of try and finalize everything? Can we get together for like an hour or two next Monday? We don't have regular scheduled meetings.
It's fine with me.
That way, because I know we're trying to consider launching the budget, maybe in March. And my thought is, this is the last meeting in February. So if that works for everyone, I would say, why don't we schedule, we'll say 6 to 7:30 and see how we make out. I mean, I think this is the bulk of what we need to finish up.
Right.
And rather than rush through it, I think it might make sense for us to do that. You can advertise for that, right, Barbara? And again, I apologize, but I just think it might be, you know, we can finalize this and move forward with, you know, doing whatever we need to do with, you know, fine tuning the amounts that we're dedicating towards the budget and to the capital, you know, potential bond. But I don't want to shortchange it because I think it's too, we need this kind of feedback information to make that kind of decision, so.
And I think this will give us a little bit of time to do some independent research too as we kind of go through it.
6 p.m.
Yeah, let's do, let's advertise, I think an hour and a half should be enough time. So why don't we advertise for next Monday, 6 to 7:30? An hour and a half should be good, or you want to do 2 hours?
Well, we'll look at this way, 6 to 7:30 is fine. If we run overtime, we run overtime.
Yeah, just advertise it for
You don't
6.
have to.
If we advertise it for 6, then we can cut it off for you. Okay.
You know, we've gone for mentoring.
All right, wait a second, we gotta close this meeting, Earl, we negotiate for that. All right, well, we got 3, so sit here. I'll sit. All right, so I make a motion that we close the workshop portion of the meeting for this evening.
Second.
Would you call the roll?
Mr. Barr?
Abstain.
So for that vote, just say that they had left prior to taking the vote to close the meeting.
Mr. Cox?
Say it, Tom.
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Plummer?
Yes.
Record state that Mr. Barr and Mr. Pearson have left the meeting prior to that. Thank you.
All right, and folks, we'll be starting the meeting in a few minutes, probably start around 25 up.